Have you ever stopped to think about what separates a perfectly fine manager from a leader who is, well, truly great? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the one skill that top executives use to not only drive incredible results, but to inspire the people around them. And that skill is emotional intelligence. So let's just dive right in. I want you to think about the best, most effective leader you've ever had. What was it about them? Was it just that they were incredibly smart or technically gifted? Or was there something else going on? It turns out the answer isn't about having the highest IQ in the room. In fact, decades of research point to something way more powerful, a factor that really separates the best from the rest. And that's emotional intelligence. So, what is this thing we call EQ? Well, at its core, emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize and understand your own emotions, and then use that awareness to manage your behavior. But it doesn't stop there. It's also about sensing and influencing the emotions of the people around you. It's kind of like being fluent in the language of human connection. The guy who really brought this to the forefront, Daniel Goleman, he broke EQ down into these 5 core parts. You've got self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Now, for this explainer, we're really going to focus in on a few of these foundational skills to get you started. So let's talk about why every major company, every business school is suddenly so focused on EQ. Why has this become the ultimate edge for modern leaders? This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Your IQ, your raw intelligence and your technical skills, that'll get your foot in the door. It'll land you the job. But your EQ, that's what's going to determine how far you go once you're inside. And this isn't just a nice idea. There's hard data behind it. Get this, research has shown that emotional and social skills are a whopping 4 times more important than your IQ when it comes to achieving top-level success. Just let that sink in for a second. 4 times. That's not just a small advantage, that is a complete game changer. I love this chart because it breaks it down so clearly. Look at decision making. Your IQ provides the cold, hard, analytical thinking, but your EQ helps you understand how that decision is actually going to land with your team, the human impact. Or look at team management. IQ helps you structure the work, but EQ is what you need to actually motivate people, coach them, and handle the inevitable conflicts. You really need both. And let's be really clear, this is not a soft skill. High EQ has a direct, measurable impact on business outcomes. We're talking about leaders who create an environment of trust, who can put out fires without making them worse, who inspire a kind of loyalty that you just can't buy. All of that leads to better engagement and people sticking around longer. These are the things that build a healthy and, a profitable company. Okay, so you get the why, you're sold. Now let's get to the really important part, the how. How do you actually build this skill? Let's unpack some of these core pillars and turn this from theory into a practical toolkit you can start using, like today. The entire journey, literally all of it, starts right here, with self-awareness. You simply cannot lead other people effectively if you don't have a clear and honest understanding of yourself. This is the absolute bedrock of emotional intelligence. And using a practical tool like this self-assessment can be huge. It forces you to ask those tough questions, like what situations trigger a defensive reaction in me? Where are my blind spots? This kind of honest self-reflection is where the real growth begins. All right, once you've got that solid foundation of knowing yourself, you can start building the next critical piece, understanding others. This is empathy. It's your ability to tune into the emotional frequency of the people around you. And remember, empathy isn't something you just have. It's something you do. It's a skill you practice. It means when someone is talking, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak, you're actually trying to understand. It means making a real effort to see things from their point of view. And it means taking a moment to acknowledge the work your team is doing. So the third pillar we'll dig into is self-regulation. Think of this as your emotional thermostat. It's your ability to stay calm and centered when everything around you is chaotic, when the pressure is on, when deadlines are looming, and when you're in a tough conversation. This is what really separates the pros from the amateurs, right? Leaders who are good at this don't just react impulsively. They respond thoughtfully. They create stability for their teams because they know how to pause, how to see a setback not as a disaster, but as a learning opportunity, and how to take full ownership of their role in any outcome. All right, we've covered a lot. So what's the one big idea, the main thing I want you to walk away with? It's this. Emotional intelligence is not something you're just born with. It's not set in stone. Unlike your IQ, which stays pretty stable throughout your life, your EQ is a skill. It's a muscle. And just like any muscle, you can develop it with practice and intention. So, what's the takeaway? It's pretty clear. Your intellect might open the first door, but it's your emotional intelligence that will build your entire career. It's what creates trust, what fuels collaboration, and ultimately what drives high-performing teams. And it all starts with that self-awareness, built through small actions every single day. This is truly a career-defining skill. So I'll leave you with a challenge. Think about the pillars we talked about: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy. Which one of those, if you really committed to improving it starting today, would have the biggest impact on your leadership? Your answer to that question, well, that's your first step.